Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk, the Season 2 recap with your hosts, Joe Dillard Jr., Lamonte Thomas, and Anthony Robinson.
Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk. I'm your host, Joe D, with my co-host, Lamonte Thomas, joining us. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good, man. I'm good. I'm glad to be back. Happy New Year to you.
Absolutely, man. It's a new year, 2021, and our purpose of this show is to, continue to show what we accomplished all in 2020 as we bring a recap of all the great interviews we've had throughout Season 2. So this podcast is designed to bring knowledge, teach, and inform the listener and viewer about the positive advancement of Virginia athletes born or raised. And born and raised, we love those ones too. So we just kind of want to bring a recap of all the snippets of good information that we got from all of our guests. And so we'll bring into you the first half of, we'll say, important notes that we deemed very good jewels. If you followed us from the beginning, we love our jewels, and we always try to make sure that they are heard. So it was anything better than to bring a recap and have those jewels be brought back to the front surface. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and bring you in right to those. Once again, this is brought to you by Grind and Pray, Legacy Maker Sports, Kane Beats. And hey, Commonwealth Sports Talk is still here and moving. Let's get it. Man, it took me on a journey just listening to how we had the privilege to speak to all these different great coaches, athletes, natives of Virginia, the community with Ryan Massenberg and Robert Jones.
I wanted to give back to the community whenever I could, because I wanted somebody to give back to me back then, but nobody did. So I want to give back when I can, and I thought that the back to school bash was just one way of giving back. Free haircuts, bounce houses, book supplies, stuff like that, all the stuff like that.
That stuff goes a long way.
Yeah, and the community gravitated towards that. Hopefully we got some new fans, out of that, and people just kind of see what kind of person I am, and what kind of program we actually run.
That's one of the things I try to do. A lot of community service stuff for the guys, get them out there so the young kids can see them, to let them know, hey guys, you may not think people are watching, but you're role models for these young kids. We always do the youth basketball draft for the rec, where they help the kids with the drills and stuff like that. Have a youth basketball day at all of our games where the kids come over, interact with the players, and take pictures with them and stuff like that. So that's one of the things, like a lot, and everybody, this because you was a coach. It's a lot more to coaching just doing X and O's. You got to do. Right. You got to get out there. You got to get out there in the community, do some other. You got to be a listening ear. You got to be a father. You got to be a coach. Sometimes you got to even be a provider. For some of the kids. I don't have a problem with that. So that's just what I love doing, and I like to see guys that can play, that come back and say, hey coach, this, that, and the third. I appreciate everything you ever did and stuff like that.
It makes it all worth it, man. It makes it all worth it.
Exactly.
How important is it for these coaches and athletes to be in the community, LT? Tell me about that in your view, man. Like, the community concept has got to be a major key to sustaining success. So what do you think?
Yeah, well, what they say about coaches, man, when it comes to a team is their persona rubs off on the team, right? Like they say a coach's poise runs off on a team. So as the coach goes, the team goes. If he's fired up, the team's fired up. They match his energy, they match his philosophy, on down to the very way he carries himself. And so I believe it's important for coaches, whether he or she, gets involved in the community, because it's identity, right? Like when you're winning games out there, you're not just doing it for the sport. You're not just doing it for the people wearing the jersey, but for the name on the jersey and who it represents. Mm. So I feel like, it's very important to be involved in the community, because, that's the very team you're playing for. So,
yeah.
When people got that, and they're literally putting the jersey on their back every night, it's a different feeling.
Like they've got to have that pride to put it on the right way and understand what it means. You have coaches like Ryan Massenberg of Petersburg, and he explains how that community gravitates to his basketball program doing good, and it uplifts people. And you can only imagine how, going through a hard struggle times, anything that people go through, to have something to gravitate to as a community is an awesome feeling. And so I think Massenburg does a great job at Petersburg doing that. We also heard Robert Jones talk about that. He had won the Skip Prosser Award, where he's just displaying excellence outside of the 94 feet that he does a great job in, that I might add. So that is a big award right there. That's over all of Division I basketball, and he is being recognized in Virginia by digging into that Norfolk community, and you've got to applaud that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, man.
Yeah, man. And then it's just like it quarterbacked right off of it. It's almost like all these are lined up together, and it's not like we ask the same questions. It's more so that they are coming and built from the same cloth. And so you hear Mike London talk about values, faith, family, and football, faith, family, and football. And it's awesome how he lives by that and has had the success to allow himself to be his own man. A lot of people can be successful or not, but regardless of the route, you want to do it your way. And I think that is a testament to how Mike London handles business throughout his career of coaching.
When you have a chance to become a head coach and be part of the program or talk about the things that are important to you, faith is important, family is important, and obviously football is important. And I know there's another spectrum. There's some guys that are just, the mean, tough, gruff. I mean, there's guys that have won championships that way, and that's their way. But through the years, I've had a chance to just kind of develop, the style or being more relational with players, and then doing it my way as far as having the life experiences that have meant so much to me and the people that I've met along the way that mean so much to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I got to shout out that 804 Coaches for Change, man. Like that group is, that said a lot, in the times we had for 2020, and just being local guys who are in the same position and felt the need that they wanted more, that they wanted more beyond, the field or the court. It says one thing to, coach these guys in the realm of a sport and a guideline and a box, but when you take it outside the community, you stand on the front lines and, you're holding protests or you're raising money or you're giving back to the school drives, and all that stuff that Massenburg did in Petersburg, like that's huge. Like that kind of stuff is going to be remembered. It doesn't matter who you are. The fact that you're touching these families' lives, on a deeper end, I think that right there is just the fortitude and the philosophy all coming full circle.
That's what makes them special with Commonwealth Sports Talk. Just stuff like that, stuff that doesn't get the high accolade or the stuff that doesn't get credit by one person. But at the end of the day, those coaches drive that system and they drive it into a positive or negative light because the community sees everything and they speak on it. So when those coaches get that acknowledgement of being positive, productive, and energetic within the community, you have to tip your hats to them, which is why here at Commonwealth Sports Talk, we continue to have coaches, players that continue to give back. If you do not give back, we're not going to kiss your butt on your career and you don't give back. That's just not how it works. Doggone well, when you were playing or going through the roots, that somebody reached out for you, and it's only right that you do the same. So, sports gives life lessons. And so that's just what we are here for, to, kind of bring to the forefront of not just saying, oh, it's competitive, we're the best, we're one of the best in Virginia, which we are. Virginia is one of the best states when it comes to sports, period. However, we use that as a teaching tool and a mechanism to uplift people. So, that's been our goal, I believe, here in the state. And so we had people like Brian Randall speak on how he had 25 people on a football team. Man, the offensive program has 25 people and the defense has 25 people. Some of them might intertwine, but that's on a 40, 50-man roster, and they only got 25. And he over there talking about how he had to get down and dirty with it, you know, and he gave shout out to the coaches. You see what I'm saying? I mean, this guy's had ultimate success and threw it all right at the coaches, you know, because he understood where it came from and where his grind, you know, how it all came to fruition. You know what I'm saying?
Joe, I got to tip my hat, man, to the coaches at Bruton, man.
Okay.
Seriously, because when you talk about like mental toughness, I mean, going both ways. I mean, you're practicing. I mean, we barely suiting up, you know, 25 guys. So it's not like we got the privilege of, you know, sitting on the sideline watching special teams go, you know, watching the offense go. We resting up, you know, to come on the field. So we already had the mindset, and I learned that early of, listen, you got to be a dog. Like, you're going to be tired. We don't got the numbers. You're going to have to play offense. You're going to play defense. You might have to kick, you know. So it was already the mental preparation was already being built from day one. So it was kind of like that, kind of like the thing where, you know, even through practices, like we're hitting, you know, we're live in practice. And I used to be like, man, why are we live in practice? Like, we don't even got no numbers. Yeah. But everybody, you had to be a dog.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, my mental toughness, bro, honestly, I mean, through my life, I felt like I was tough. But going through high school football for me made me really, like, buckle down to a whole nother level of feeling like, hey, if you breathing, you can play.
Yeah. That dirty mentality.
Yeah, that's unheard of. That's unheard of. That just us mentality. You know what I mean? You look around and it's good when you're successful and you're winning, you're gonna get that support and it's gonna pour in. But you know, before that, the fact that you can do it, you know, before the bright lights and before the big stage, you know, you looking around and it's the same old people every day. You know, that testament of having 25 people on this football team, man, that's nothing but heart right there.
Don't get no better than that. And then driving right off of that, quarterback right off of that, Tony Rutland and AI in practice, just pushing each other. And the coach not saying, hey, these are my two best guys. Let me go ahead and let them bury through practice. No. He puts them one-on-one against each other to make them better. And I think that's what competition is all designed for. It's not to break you per se, it's to make you better in any stretch of the manner. And so, you know, Rutland talks about how those coaches had an impact on his career and that drove him into coaching. And I think that's that line right there. It's giving back somehow. His is being coaching. So it comes full circle. We all look at Tony as a star. He didn't play with 3 number 1 picks. You know, he's done it all, and here he is giving back and saying that I want to have those kids get an opportunity to have more or to get more opportunities in general, even if it's not a Division I scholarship. So, you know, that's a big message there when they're leaving it out there like that. So
him trying to dunk on me because I get up there and I try, you know, I block it and I won't go let it happen, you know, and that's just what it was. Yeah, but then we also had great coaches like Barry. He was, you know, the older Barry, he would practice with us. JD, who's at Phoebus, you know, the younger JD, he was in the military, you know, he had them young legs. And when I say they used to beat us up, man, it made us better, you know what I mean? And man, Incos, all the Inco brothers, man, they really kept us under a tight knit. And, man, they really pushed us to be great and excel. And that's why I like coaching. You know what I mean? I want to give back and do like, you know, those coaches that help me, help AI, because, you know, I can't get everybody a D1 scholarship, but if I can make you improve and you can get somewhere and just realize that you gave it your all, then I did my job.
You've done your part.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. You know, big shout out to Tony Rutland having him on.
Absolutely.
Yes. And, you know, Terry Kirby, living legend. Virginia, to put them on the map. Football might be the best, you know, one of the best to come out of the state. And as an athlete, you know, one thing we've talked about a lot on this show is not just a basketball player and not just a football or track athlete. We've talked about the complete athlete. Being a complete athlete has to have competitive drive, because you know you're not going to be the best at every sport, but you're gonna, with your competitive drive and with your athleticism, you're gonna get into the mix of things, and that's how you become relevant. So, big shout out to the Brian Randalls, Terry Kirby's, those guys who did multiple sports, and so that's a testament to their work, so.
Oh, that is, man. It wasn't just my brothers. We grew up in an area where I don't think there was any of us that was not competitive. It wasn't just in my family, my brothers, but all my cousins, with Melvin, Ray. I think we all just grew up in an era where we all competed.
Yes.
And everybody wanted to talk shit. Everybody wanted to be the best.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made us, for me, it made me who I was. Because I remember being a little kid, just like you were. And, you see us out there playing, and you're like, I can't wait till I'm old enough to be able to play with them guys. And, we push you aside and say, you're too young. We push, you ain't ready yet. You ain't ready yet. Exactly. And then you get to that age where you actually get that opportunity to play, and you got no choice but to rise up to the occasion. And I think that's what made us so good and so competitive, because we took that over. I mean, even to this day, we go home, we're competitive in anything. If we play cornhole, the worst thing is everybody's competitive in drinking. But, it's just, we that's just in our blood. It's in our blood. It's just who we are. Growing up on Carriage-Shaw, CC Road and Yorktown Road, you're talking, just so many Saturdays and Sundays of going up to Tab Intermediate, playing basketball, being down at Tab Elementary and playing, tackle football with no pads on.
Yep.
That's what we did. We rode our bikes to get there. We had nobody driving us and dropping us off. We were grinders, man. We were grinders.
That first
athlete right there.
That
sums it up.
So what do you think, man? You think for the opportunity to have these people on our show is just, that pure blessing that we scratched up from the very beginning and put it in the oven and let it bake, and it's starting to come through. But it's really rewarding seeing all the good positive messages being passed forward by these people. And it's not that we're telling them anything to say. I think we've done 20 something interviews and only, have had to give out information 2 or 3 times and had to wiggle around a couple of different ways. But at the end of the day, the messages are very similar. And it's not because we're all from Virginia, and it's not because they're all ball players or whatever. It's because they're athletes and they've got a competitive drive, and that can carry them in life.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely what we set it out to be, and we still got a ways to go, and we gonna dig into it. But it's a footprint. You know what I mean? It's just like we talk about giving back to the community or embedding ourselves in Virginia history. That's kind of what we talk about with the athletes. It's kind of what our show is doing. I think of Commonwealth Sports Talk as a resource. It should be a resource for people to go to, to listen in and tune in and be like, man, this is what Virginia's footprint is, not only on sports, but the background of it. It's like a behind the music to Virginia sports. You know what I mean? Like, remember, how you have those shows where, you've always knew, the general story, besides when it comes to like the fame of something or, the story of glory and whatnot. But this is the gritty, right? This is the parts that, everybody may not have known. These are the gems right here. It's the Commonwealth quotes, man. That's what does it for me.
Them Commonwealth quotes go a long way, man. And we've heard it from many of forums saying, man, these aren't normal questions. Anywhere from, I like the way that they're being thrown at me, and this is different stuff to talk about. I don't like talking about the same stuff all the time. And so I just appreciate hearing the feedback from all the guests, appreciating our time and how we presented our information and wanted to get out there. The last 2 that we saw on that first half was the VA family pipeline, just like we talked about right there, as Lisa Dillard explained more about how the VA pipeline stays tightly knit no matter where you go. and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Ron he made that transition so much easier. And he also, we used to have this thing that he used to call the Virginia pipeline. So he would actually, recruit people from Virginia. And so we would, once we got to Clemson, it was almost instant family, because there was 3 or 4 of us that were from Virginia. And, we all got to know each other. We were not just, teammates, but we were all legitimately very good friends. And they were my sisters. And even to this day, we've established bonds, and, it's, 20 or so years later, and we're still all good friends. We still talk to each other. We still communicate. And so that was a blessing. I never had any sisters, but I got some sisters at that time.
That also is like, well, if there's success there, let's go back for more. We can tie in those two in the sense that she had a couple others go run track at Clemson with her. And if you look at it now, we have situations where Virginia athletes are staying together in the pipeline and performing very well. Notre Dame got their butt kicked. We will admit that, but their defensive player of the year out of Bethel High School, awesome. Nothing short.
I also love the Tyree, man. The Tyree out of Thomas Dale got some carries in the game.
Tyree out of Thomas Dale
had some big play performances down the stretch of the season too. Shout out to both of those guys, man.
Shout out to both of them, straight out of Virginia. We talking Chester and Hampton. Don't get it twisted.
Straight up. That's Ohio School.
Don't get it twisted.
Already.
And that's just what I'm saying. Like, it's a silver lining always, whether you rooted for Clemson, whether you rooted for Notre Dame, whether you rooted for Alabama versus Notre Dame. In those 2 Notre Dame games, our VA boys stood out and played, what we expect from VA athletes. So.
Straight up. Clemson as well. Clemson cornerback straight out of Highland Springs High School. You know what I mean? Like, they had the imprint on the whole college football playoffs, man.
And so going to the last guest with Brian Graves, Coach Graves talked about that sacrifice, man. And that sacrifice is real.
Years overseas, and, I was faced with a real world decision. And my wife now was pregnant at the time. And, I had to make a decision of, do I still want to continue to play basketball and raise my son from afar? Or, do I want to be a hands-on everyday father? And so I chose to be, a hands-on everyday father. And, at the time, living my whole life to prepare myself to be a professional player, that was a tough decision. You know what I mean? Because, I was at the best part of my life basketball-wise, but, I had to, make a sacrifice. And, transitioning into coaching really wasn't hard. That was always plan B for me. I went back to my high school and my roots and worked with some kids in Newport News. And,
yes.
I got to coach junior varsity at Heritage High School and was assistant with the varsity. So that was touching, because it was kids that, I knew what they was going through.
You want to be a ball player all your life? I don't think that's the route to take going in with the mind frame to have. You have to understand when things change, when family kicks in, when your priorities line up, when you have another opportunity available for you, and you need to be cognitive of how to take those things on. Because if you're not, they're gonna pass you by, and you're gonna be wondering what happened, And so with him stopping, playing ball overseas, which every guy wanted to do, but to build his family and to turn it over into coaching, I applaud him 100%. And that sacrifice has really paid rewards immediately with his career. So I'm just, happy to hear how all that came together on that first half, man. That's just what it is here at Commonwealth. And without all us yapping, we're going to take you right into the second half of it. And so let's go right on into it. What you say, LT?
Let's go. Let's get it. Commonwealth Sports. Y'all tune in. Thanks for all the love. And we got more for you. We got more for you coming.
Let's do it.
But when you think about the college athlete, like, they have study hall, they have workouts, they have strength training, they have classes that they actually have to attend. Some do work study, some want to do community service, some want to do internships. Your day is pretty slammed, and if you don't manage it properly, your mind is going to go like all over the place.
Yes.
And so we learned how important like something simple as time management helps, like, you know, anxiety and just depression, even, because you're like, you feel more in control when you actually have some kind of plan. When you're just like out there doing whatever, you're like, I got to do this and I got to do that and I got to do this, and you can't really see how to, you know, like place things. And if you actually place stuff, it's like you don't have to make your whole life a schedule, but it does help to have some structure, I feel like, because it can get crazy. And now you have to prioritize what's most important that day at that time. And, you know, unfortunately, athletes sacrifice a lot of social activities, or if they don't, they're tired because all their social activities are like 10 p.m. to whatever, you know. So all that stuff plays a factor.
There you have it. The second half, which, like I said, man, if you don't think those are gems, then I don't know what Kool-Aid you're pumping. So, you know, just understanding community, culture within a program, you know, a family, a coach, you know, the 804 mind frame from community programming into your drive. You know, all those in one, they sound like the best jewels to pass on, and they all come from different strokes of life, but all out of VA. And, you know, I'm going to start you with Ty White. And Ty White and this community approach is just beyond phenomenal. You want to take me through that, man?
I want to give kids an opportunity that I didn't believe I had. Give kids an outlet. We've been fortunate through our program to have over 300 kids, boys and girls, receive a scholarship through our program. So I don't take that for granted. We've had 11 NBA guys, a couple of NFL guys. Man, we've been fortunate, man. We've been really, really fortunate. I from a very early age, my calling in my life was to help a boy be a man. I knew that. I knew that early on. I'm fortunate enough to know my purpose, and I got people surrounded with me who support my vision and my leadership. Our organization is airtight, man. The guys, Rodney Gore, Kevin Bettis, Mike Blackwell, Kurt Jones, Shadarian James. I mean, I got a team and an army behind me. Sonny Ward, MJ Wing, like the list goes on and on like Skinner. I got a mob behind me, to be honest with you.
Yes,
they shield things from me, man. They go before me. They work. They grind. They keep the community in mind. We just did an event early August 7th and 8th of last month. We called it the Weekend of Action, man. We had over 300 people tested for COVID, fed over 5,000 families, 5,200 families, had over 100-something people registered to vote. We had fed the homeless. It was just an unbelievable weekend. We gave a young lady a car, single mom a car. It was just an unbelievable weekend. Man, as if he's a man. I don't care if you're black, white, or candy stripe. You know what I mean? If you're doing what's right, I'm going to support you. If you fool with the foolishness, I ain't with it. That's just me. I ain't with it. I ain't got time for it. I'm too old in life for foolishness, man. If it doesn't do anything to prosper me or bring good energy, good vibes, I'm not even with it, man. You can miss me with it.
Yes,
literally miss me with it. So, man, I love support, respect for what you guys are doing as young brothers, man, supporting good vibes, man. I'm respect.
Man, you talking about Marshall?
That whole East End, Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, and the crazy part is it's growing, right? Is that, you know, that Richmond side and Henrico side of things, you just never know which team is going to come out, you know, in terms of competitiveness every year. But more than that, it's about getting your piece, right? It's the reason why they're so competitive outside of Virginia sports, and outside of their local talent, because you just don't know how many shots you're gonna get. You know, like you say all the time, you know, you got
to stay ready.
Yeah, stay ready. Whether it's ready. Division 5, Division 4, Division 6, no matter what it is, it's going to be competitive all the way at the top, and that's just here locally. So you can only imagine once you get to regionals or once you get outside of locally. Oh, they want all the smoke.
Yeah,
all the smoke. You look at the 12U championships that we just we just witnessed. You know, what was that? 4 Virginia teams, 4 DMV teams in there. DC, I think, took top. Then you had TNT out of Chesterfield,
all the way in Florida.
And Rob's a squad down in the 7-5.
7-5, yes.
Easily 3-4 teams right there, because they know that when they get their shot, that they're going for it.
Yes, absolutely, man. And then another thing, and pardon me saying East Side, it's the North Side. John Marshall's on the North Side. I understand the whole Richmond dynamic, but at the end of the day, he makes you feel like you need to be a part of that, and that is something that is good when people want to be a part of it. And that community outreach he does is amazing. Right up the street with Lonnie Blow at Virginia State. This man comes from Portsmouth, 757. Went coached at St. Aug, did it all, and now he sits down at Virginia State and he continues to produce.
I think it starts with my faith, man. You know, I've been blessed to be around some really good people and outstanding players, outstanding administrations, people who kind of supported us, and just had the opportunity to just have some genuinely, good people around me, and so that's a blessing. And recruiting is what it is, man. It's not an exact science. Sometimes you hit a double, sometimes you hit a home run, sometimes you strike out. So, recruiting is what it is. But, we try to make sure we bring in guys who, again, going to buy into our program. And I think, part of the success is just, it's just work, man. It's just work where, we come in and we try to set a culture. And I think our culture is the number one thing that kind of keeps us going, because our culture is what it is and it doesn't change. We try to be we try to be good off the court, and I think what has really helped me in my success is building young men off the court. Kind of translates into our success on the court. We talk a lot of time about manhood, and we spend a lot of time, in meetings and discussing, things other than basketball. Just being a good man, just being productive in life and being respectful and being accountable, and, just making sure that we handle ourselves off the court the right way. And, because if you're responsible and accountable off the court, then you'll be responsible and accountable on the court. We can count on you to set that good pick, or we can count on you to get that big rebound, or whatever the case may be. And basically just doing whatever your job entails. If your job entails making a good pass, then make that the best pass. To set the screen, make that the best screen that's ever been set, or whatever the case may be. But my success again comes from just building a culture. Everywhere I've gone, I've had an opportunity to build or be a part of a winning culture, and I think winning starts off the court.
I mean, he continues to stay with a kid from within the state as well, so that way he can win that state battle, that community battle, making sure he is winning always, all areas. So I love what Coach Blow had to talk about. And you had personal, talks with him as you covered Virginia State, with the media. So this guy is very, very swift, smooth, calm, and collected, and that's my description of Coach Blow.
Yeah, Lonnie Blow he's a culture guy and a family guy, man. And the thing is, when you join Virginia State under Lonnie Blow, you don't even feel like you're joining a team. You legit feel like you're joining a family, and that's why he's so effective there, is because they embrace him. They embrace him, and he shapes and molds the team, to fit like a family. And every year they go to war for one another, man. And beyond the court, they can sit down and talk with one another and actually, be humans in their own time. And like Lonnie's really big on that, man. And I got that vibe, the second I met him. So shout out to Lonnie Blow, man. He's just great for Virginia State and great for this area.
And I want to give Coach Blow and Coach Joyner their respects. Buck Joyner at Hampton and Lonnie Blow at Virginia State, because we did a combination episode. And I wanted to explain, they deserve their own, true indeed. However, we combined them because the Hampton and the Virginia State angle is your deep-rooted HBCUs in the state of Virginia, and I understand how that came to fruition and me bringing that episode together.
So as I began coaching and I became a head coach myself, that's what I like my players to be. I like them to be independent. I like them to know what their strengths are. I like them to know what their weaknesses that they have to work on. I like for them to bring input to the game to help the team, because at the end of the day, I do feel as a coach, I'm as successful as my kids are. It's not the reverse of that. If they do well, I look good. If they do bad, I look bad. I believe that they get the praise. I get the criticism when it goes wrong, and I think that's rightfully so. So I try to teach them as young men to be independent, to learn how to strive, work, and don't fear to succeed. So and I think those are two guys that embody that probably just as much or more than anybody that I've ever coached.
It got us, hit us up, finally, and we all matched up on our timing. And so we had to get it straight. But I think that both of them speaking about their program and culture just amplifies how, even though it's 804 to 757, it is still the same kind of heartbeat pushing through both programs. And so when Buck tells you, like how we had Jermaine Morrow on, how we had Doobie Maxwell on, he'll give you the keys if you work for it. If you work for it, he'll give you the keys and he'll go to bat for you. And I love that he says, when we're winning, hey, give it to the kids. That's how I want it. That's what I brought them here for. That's why we're doing this. When we lose, give it to me, because it's my design to take it and to flip it and to make it motivation for those kids. So I mean, when I spoke with him, he was waiting on his kid, working out, playing basketball. That's family, and Boo Williams. And then he also is giving us time. So you just can see how people are knit when they give you their time with the interview. And so, with Coach Buck Joyner, I mean, loved it, man. I even loved his story with how they integrated into the Big South. Like,
I love this interview too.
He said the guy, the European guy says, tell me about North Carolina A&T. And just think about it. They're joining this year as well. So I guess that really meant what it meant, huh?
Yeah, man. That's HBCU blood right there, man. They're just pouring it in, and it's kind of the same kind of battle we see, and everything else. That word inclusion gets thrown around, and it's like it's nice, we want inclusion, but more than that, we want the same perception, right? We don't just want inclusion. We want you want the validation. That's what we want. We want the validation. Give us our props, right? Like,
exactly.
Space.
Give them flowers while people breathing, man. Let them smell them flowers while they breathing, man.
That's all we want.
And look, Wes took it even further when he talked about being a family man as a coach to all his kids, and being a father figure, and understanding the sacrifice that is needed, because of certain situations. You don't always have the perfect two-parent home situation where kids are being dropped off and everything. So that sacrifice that he made was just heart-filling. I had a couple of people tell me, oh, that Coach West you had, he was amazing.
It's God's will. We're going to do it together, and that's how we're going to do it. And you asked me, how do I relate that to my players? I'm going to be all the way real with you, Joe. I tell my players every year, you're just my son. You're my son as well. I don't look at you any different. And then they'll be like, well, you mean that, Coach? I'm like, yeah, I mean it. And I say, okay, I love you like my son, but you got to be careful, because I'm going to treat you like I treat my son. I'm hard on my son. Mm-hmm. He has rules, he has regulations. And I'm going to be honest with you, Joe, most kids that don't have that at home, they want that.
Yeah.
They might be at home fatherless, or they living with a mom. Then if you truly show that you care about a person, I promise you, they're going to love you for eternity.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I can say I'm proud about. Every kid that I coach, I still have a relationship with them as if I'm coaching them right now. Yep. I'm talking kids that I coached 15, years ago, and we talk all the time. Like, if they moved away from Virginia or not, we're still constantly talking. I'm checking on their lives. And, you have your good stories, you have your bad stories, but I can promise you this, I always put my foot down to help everyone that I encounter.
Every single one, man.
Every single one.
Definitely. The same thing, man. You that's why I was saying earlier, that's the part where you feel good, where you able to, where they got a family, or they're a CEO, or still playing, or I still stay in contact with those guys, and it makes me feel good that they still go by some of the things that you teach them every day, that was on the court, and put it into their life, man.
I totally agree. And there's another thing I was telling Joe about, as a coach, and this is my philosophy on. Everybody has a different philosophy. We all know that. Everybody got different style of play. Me personally, I think that coaches are psychologists. I try to type into their psyche. And I had some good groups, man, that, for example, I think 3-4 years, the year we made the state run, that was probably the best group I coached. And I'm going to tell you why. They took on my personality. Yeah. I have an 804 personality. I'm an in-your-face guy. I'm obnoxious, right. But you got to get to know me to love me, if that makes sense. Because I can come off a little abrasive, but I'm really probably the nicest guy you ever meet. Exactly. But I'm real. Like, I'm so real. I'm going to tell you to your face what I think. I'm not going to, I'm not going to run around.
I ain't be around the bush. I am the bush.
I was like, yeah, he is an amazing guy. And it's pure. It's pure from the heart. So I loved his words. That's why I put him on twice, And so, it's just a testament to how hard he works. And it's from the root. So it takes no effort. It's normal. It's natural for him. So I commend that. You got Carlos Poindexter at Hayfield talking about the community program and just building that embodiment of saying we at Hayfield are welcoming everybody. We don't want to exclude anybody. If you want to come get some free bump, I'm Northern Virginia now. You want to come get some free bump? Let's do it. Let's get that in. We want to get better. And I love that. And so when you show that to the elementary kids, they're going to build that culture coming in knowing that, hey, I want to play for Coach Poindexter.
The way that I've coached and the way that I approach the game, everybody has seen it. And, I get to see most of my kids during, the kids that's coming up, they're at my basketball camps. So they get to build that relationship with me early, especially the ones that's good and that's going to become, 4-year Hayfield basketball players. We build those relationships early, and that's a big selling point for me, because I have a great relationship with those kids at a young age, and then as they get older, we continue to build that bond, and then by the time they step on the court with me, it's second nature. And me being from the community and being at Hayfield, graduating from Hayfield in '99, I've always been around. So the fact that I've always been around, everybody knows my name. Everybody knows who I am. Everybody knows how I am. I'm a passive aggressive person, but they know which buttons to push and which ones that stay away from. So I've built a good rapport with everybody in my community, everybody within my teams. It's been a couple instances where some things they didn't work out between me and a couple of players, but overall, all my kids love me, and I think they'll vouch for that.
And you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Definitely, homegrown guy right there too. He's gonna, he's the type of guy you get in this gym. You might not know him, but the first day you're gonna listen. You're gonna listen to him because you can feel the passion. You can feel it, and that's why they turned the keys over to him, because they knew that he's gonna drive it.
Absolutely,
for sure, gonna drive it.
Absolutely, great man before he was a coach. Great man, wild coach, always be a great man in my book. So we take you to the final guest of Steph Welsh talking about drive. Now, me and this guy come from the same cloth. Me and this guy know a lot of the same people. But let me tell you, the maturation of Stephon Welsh has been beyond phenomenal. If I would have been more wise to the process as a high school student to know how to enter in collegiate as an athlete, it would have definitely helped overall bottom line. And so I recommend you mending that gap right there, because not too many people have been privy to that opportunity. And that's just half the battle right there, bro. That's half the battle.
So I tell my kids all the time at Woodside, man, people can judge me for wins and losses all they want to. That's fine. My kids know, obviously, do I want to win every game? Yes. But every time a kid pick up a scholarship, that's a championship to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's $24,000 to $30,000 a year that the parent don't have to pay, or that the student don't have to go in debt. So while people really, really hung over wins and losses and state championships, every kid that plays for me, whether it be AAU, whether it be high school, that go to college, that's a championship. Bottom line, judge me on all the kids that come and play for me, that go on to college and get a free education to win in life. That's how I want to be remembered. That, you know, I mean, again, you could judge me for wins and losses, playoff wins, state championship. I won a state championship. I know what that feel like. I've been there and done that. But how many coaches can really say, you know, every kid that comes through my program has a chance to receive a free education in college and go on to play 4 more years to get themselves a chance to make money professionally.
And the drive is what gets him. No failure has driven him more than himself. He is his own ticket. And that is a tool that he uses every day that I think everybody should be using on a personal level, regardless of what your craft is. You know what I'm saying? You want to prove it to yourself. If you're trying to prove it to somebody else, where's that journey isn't even enjoyable. That journey is just because you have to, because somebody else wants you to feel justified. No, if you're doing it for yourself, that journey is that's why I say we grind and pray, because you go hard on that journey, you expect the results, and when they come, you smell your flowers.
Yeah, you know, they belong, right? Like when you hear a story like that, it's like it's almost like, I don't know. I still really feel privileged to talk to these people, because it's like what we make up in our own mind every day. You know what I'm saying? Like we're always trying to get our piece. We're trying to fit in. And then when you hear a story of somebody, you know, giving it everything they got and overcoming all their obstacles and making it through, you know what I mean? And they're still the same person after.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's genuine love right there. Like that's the love that we're trying to spread on here, and we're trying to show that it's genuine.
Relatable. We want everybody to feel like there was a part of that story, and it's relatable. The 2 Chainz story. Everybody wanted 2 Chainz. You know, AI and Tony rocking the 2 Chainz. Right. Your leaders, like, everybody can relate to that. When you and your best friend, or you and your teammate, and the best players, like, it's so many things that are relatable, and you just don't know because you only see an outside version. So when we bring them into Commonwealth Sports Talk, we try to bring them and bring all their baggage, good baggage that shows the grind that you may not see. So I hope that this season 2 was a blessing for you, because it was a blessing for us. We're going to turn a leaf and turn over to 2021 and bring you season 3. So stay tuned. We've been loading, but you know we're coming. Commonwealth Sports Talk, bringing it to you. Great times, great people, great energy, yo. We loving it. Got LT here with me. You've been the man. You've been the man.
Got more gifts for you.
Absolutely. So let me go ahead and get back to work then, so we can get season 3 produced. This is Commonwealth Sports Talk. Glad to have you on the 2020 recap. Peace and prosperity.